Somebody thought it is
Like
Bible.
such a big book. They're not even
No, I think they're just like it's somebody's bag
I
and they
cannot
don't know it's
What if
It's
somebody
somebody's
thought it was
bag.
theirs?
It's in somebody's bag.
What if somebody thought it was theirs?
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya.
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Naram Jaiva Narottama.
Naram Jaiva Narottama.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Tudayamudiraya. Nasta Prashabhadreshu.
Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavate Uttama Shloke.
Bhagavate Namaskritya.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naisike.
Bhakti Bhavati Naisike.
Reading from Canto 3, the status quo. Chapter 22, the marriage of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. Text 26 and 7. We were discussing yesterday about the terms and how Prabhupada sometimes uses regarding property in connection with women, and sometimes there are different issues where he says women are not to be independent, less independent. So we discussed a little bit. Well, there's a lot to discuss actually because it's not a simple topic. A lot of people have different views about it. So I think you all need to also think about this. All right. Maybe I might give you an essay on it. Text 26, 27.
आमन्त्र्यातं मुनिवरम्
Anandyatam Mudivaram.
अनुज्ञाता सहानुगः
Anandata Sahagraha.
ततस्ते रथमारुह्य
Satasthiratamādhurya.
सभार्या स्वपुरं नृपः
Savarya Sapuram Nృpaha.
उभयोर्षिकुल्यायः
Uvayorshikilyayaha.
सरस्वत्या सुरोदसोः
Sarasvatyasurodasho.
ऋषीणां प्रशान्तानां
Rishinamupashantanam.
पश्यन्नाश्रमसम्पदः
Pasyanashramasambhadaha.
After asking and obtaining the great sage's permission to leave, the monarch mounted his chariot with his wife and started for his capital, followed by his retinue. Along the way, he saw the prosperity of the tranquil seas, beautiful hermitages on both the charming banks of the Saraswati, the river so agreeable to saintly persons. Thank you. So we see now Swayambhuva Manu with his wife. What's his wife's name? Shatarupa. So they're both going back, and it's a very both happy and a sad situation because he gave his daughter, and you know it's very sad actually. When you read it, you feel emotional also. You know, where he cries out to his daughter, no? My dear mother, my dear daughter. And because after so many years, he's giving up, you know. After so many years. So there's a lot of emotion there. And now they're going back. And while they're going back, they're seeing how wonderful this region is. How wonderfully it's been maintained. Text 28.
ब्रह्मायन्तमभिप्रेत्य
Brahmayantamabhipretya.
ब्रह्मावर्तात् प्रजापतिम्
Brahmavartat Prajapatim.
गीता संस्कृतिमात्रैः
Gita Sanskrit Vaditrai.
प्रत्युदीयुः प्रहर्षिताः
Pratyudiyu Praharshitaha.
Overjoyed to know of his arrival, his subjects came forth from Brahmavarta to greet their returning Lord with songs, prayers, and musical instruments. So it seems that this is how, in those days, the people were with the king. They were very happy to see their kings. Prabhupada said they dress up to to come and see the king also. Right? Text 29:30.
Barhismati Namapuri
Barhismati Namapuri
Sarvasampatsamanvita
Sarvasampatsamanvita
Yapatanyashtaromani
Yajnasangyam
Yajnasangam Vidunvataha
Yajnasangyam Vidunvataha
Kushahakashasta evasan
Kushakashasta evasan
Shashwadharitavarchasaha
Shashwadharitavarchasaha
Kshayoyai prabhavya Parabhavya
Vishayoya Parabhya
Yajnam Ijire
Yajnadhanam Yajnam Nijire.
The city of Barhismati, rich in all kinds of wealth, was so called because Lord Vishnu's hair dropped there from his body when he manifested himself as Lord Boar. As he shook his body, this very hair fell and turned into blades of evergreen kusha grass and kasha, another kind of grass used for mats, by means of which the sages worshipped Lord Vishnu after defeating the demons who had interfered with the performance of their sacrifices. Means the sages also used the grass to kill the demons, the kusha grass. The kusha and kasha, the grass from the hair of Lord Varaha. When he took the earth out and he was shaking his body, some of the hair fell into the planet in that area, in that region. It became auspicious, and that's why the city of Barhismati. In the Bhagavad Prabhupada writes, any place directly connected with the Supreme Lord is called Pitastana. Okay, Pitastana. Okay. Barhismati, the capital of Swayambhuva Manu, was exalted not because the city was very rich in wealth and opulence, but because the hairs of Lord Varaha fell at this very spot. So, it's because of the hair. Huh? These hairs of the Lord later grew as green grass, and the sages used to worship the Lord with that grass after the time when the Lord killed the demon Hiranyaksha. Yajna means Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita, karma is described as Yajnartha. Yajnartha karma means work done only for the satisfaction of Vishnu. So, to satisfy Vishnu, you give him your fruits of your labor. Text 31.
The planetary system
Yes.
in which this is there, we discussed this, right?
It seems, according to the earlier description, is just below Brahma's planet, right?
Just below that.
Yeah, but if you read Krishna Samhita by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he describes it as just next to the river Saraswati.
On Earth.
On earth, yeah, he describes it.
Actually, the kusha grass is even available today.
Yes.
No, though, it could be upstairs, it could be there also.
Yeah, so
Doesn't
both
have to be
places
Earth.
could be. It's
So it
possible.
could be any of the two places. You're saying.
Yes.
Because I was saying, there are no demons in Lord Brahma's planet.
No.
So their demons are being mentioned.
Yeah, and Manu also, he lives for 72 yuga. That's a long time.
Yeah.
Probably I was also thinking about it.
Yeah,
And probably Manu is in the higher planet,
yes.
but when we come to see Kada only, he comes for the lower planet.
Yeah, so that's what we are saying. There's two places he has. One is in a higher planet. Another one, he could also have a palace or city in the local planet itself. It's,
No, I think, but he's saying, I think he came to visit Kardama Muni on Earth planet.
well, like
but
I
he's-
said, no, when you read Krishna Samhita, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains like it's here.
Even Manu's place is here only.
Yeah, he makes everything here in the planet. He's so expert the way he describes it. Yeah. And he can even fit everything in the timeline the Christians talk about. So
That is to break through,
Yeah.
break preaching.
he was preaching. But I'm just saying, his description is just beyond the Saraswati on the other side. That's how he says it's possible. So yeah, it is in the higher planet from what we read earlier on. But his Mati is in a higher planet. But Manu came down to give his daughter Devahuti to who's the groom? Kadamba.
Even it is possible, even in this realm itself, there is different dimensions.
Yes. So that's the other thing also. They may exist within the range, just like Vrindavan is there. We can't see actual Vrindavan, but Vrindavan is still there. So it's possible. Yes. But we shouldn't worry so much. So I'm over text 31.
कुशकाशमयाम्बर्हे
कुशकाशमयाम्बर्हे
आस्तीर्य भगवान् मनुः
आसीर्य भगवान् मनु
अयाचव्यग्नपुरुषम्
अयाचव्यग्नपुरुषम्
भद्रासानं यतो भुवम्
भद्रासानं यतो भुवम्
Manu spread a seed of Kushash and Kashash and worshipped the Lord, the personality of Godhead, by whose grace he had obtained the rule of the terrestrial globe. Prabhupada says one should take lessons from Manu, who acknowledged his kingdom and opulence to be gifts from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus always engaged in devotional service. Right? So the Manus are actually the forefathers of mankind. So therefore they are in charge of mainly the earthly region. Right? Okay.
So mainly the earthly region.
Yeah.
That they, okay.
That's from them comes the lineage, different lineage. Just like in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita we studied, right? Vivaswan,
Yeah.
Ishvaku, right? Who's Ishvaku? Son of Vivaswan. Who's Vivaswan? Current who? Current Manu.
Son of Vishnu.
Son of
No,
Yes.
Yeah, Ikshvaku is son of
son
Manu.
of Current Manu, yes.
Yeah, which is
He is
Vaivasvata.
Vaivasvata.
Vaivasvata Manu is the son of Vivasvata.
Yes. Yes. Well, not necessary. It doesn't say that.
Doesn't say he's the son,
It doesn't say.
but he's learned Bhagavad Gita from him.
Yes, he learned Bhagavad Gita from the sun god Vivaswan. Okay. So you can see they take charge of the earthly regions. So the current Manu is Vaivasvata Manu.
Actually, he is son of in some other places mentioned.
Yeah, but not in the
Not
Bhagavad
in
Gita.
Bhagavad Gita.
Yes, doesn't say. I even checked the Bhagavatam also. I didn't come across that he is the son of.
He is son of in some other Puranas.
Okay, if it's from another Purana, okay, I do not know. Anyway, just you guys, if you know, give me the reference and I can incorporate it.
Just going back to earlier conversations, Swayambhuva Manu may be in the higher planets, but he may have come to visit Kardama Manu to give his daughter in marriage.
Yes,
But his descendants are predominantly in Martaloka.
yes. Because they are special category of personalities, Manvantaras. Okay, they're special. They're meant for all the things that the demigods. Remember when we were reading, who's going to do all the yagna and so on? Some rishis will do, but if you have mankind, then they will do more of this. So the demigods were happy when Brahma, they clapped and applauded, right? So now we will get some benefits from this. Yeah. So that's how the whole mankind, this Martya Loka is coming about. Yeah. So the lineage is two Vamsas, no? One is Surya Vamsa and the other one is starting from? The Surya Vamsa starts with who? Is Ikshvaku and the Chandra? Well, all starting from
Soma.
Soma. Yeah, but who, predominantly who's the main person? That actually, the whole lineage is Puru, Pururava and Urvasi. Yeah.
Son of Moon.
Huh?
The son of Moon.
Son of no, I think grandson.
Grandson of Moon.
Grandson of Soma. Right? Okay. Next.
If Manu is in charge of earthly region,
Yeah.
but Swayambhuva Manu you said is close to just below Lord Brahma's planet.
Yeah,
He
that's-
is there, but he is there in charge of the earthly region.
why not? The planet may be positioned in different places, but it may be just next door, no? Let me just we were looking earlier on, right? I'm just going back to see where it describes Swayambhuva Manu. This is in the previous chapter, right? Maybe I'll check later. When okay. Continue. Text 31, right? Is it 31? We just finished 31. Okay, 32.
Barhishmatim nama vidu.
Varishmati Rama Viku
Yamnirvishya samavasa.
Yamnirvishya samavasa.
Sasyam pravishto bhavanam.
Sasyam pravisho bhavanam.
Tapatraya vinashanam.
Tapatraya vinasanam.
Having entered the city of Varhishmati, in which he had previously lived, Manu entered his palace, which was filled with an atmosphere that eradicated the three miseries of material existence. And the Prabhupada says it is not that the miseries of the material world completely vanish when one takes to Krishna consciousness. But for one who is Krishna conscious, the miseries of material existence have no effect. Because you don't associate with it anymore. Right? When misery comes, if you associate with it, then you feel the anxiety and all those things. But as soon as you don't associate with it, then your focus is only what Krishna wants, not what you want. So therefore there's no more anxiety, no miseries. We cannot stop the miseries of the material atmosphere, but Krishna consciousness is the antiseptic method to protect us from being affected by the miseries of material existence. The idea is being conscious that you are servant of Krishna, Krishna conscious. For a Krishna conscious person, both living in heaven and living in hell are equal. Okay? So that means if you are performing sincerely, then for you this place should be happy because you're able to do devotional service. That's because you're identifying with Krishna. But if you identify with your material life, you have to be miserable. You will become miserable. Correct? So that is the meaning behind that. But then you can say, but then I get miseries. My mind gives me misery, my body gives me misery, right? My relatives give me miseries, right? You can say that. But then if you are a devotee, then you won't associate with those things. Okay, this is part of my karma, but I want to do service. I'm happy, I'm glad I can do service for Krishna, even though these things are still there. So it becomes minimized. Your focus, more you focus on Krishna, less worry about these things, right? There's always going to be some problems in life, so but you don't pay too much importance to that. The importance is Krishna pleased with my service? Is my Guru pleased with my service? Like that. Instead of making your whole life, your whole conscious meditating on the misery, Prabhupada says when one is Krishna conscious, the whole conscious is meditation on the Supreme Lord and his devotees. For example, if you have a child and the child is sick, so are you going to get worried or are you going to say Krishna will take care? Huh? You will get worried, yes, of course. And then don't worry after that. Pray to Krishna and don't worry about the child.
Do the needful, take to the
Yeah, do the needful. Take the child to the doctor.
So material activities continue.
Yeah, but then
But it's not material activity.
no, it's not. Because they are servants of Krishna. That's how you have to see. Yeah. And they are, it's not like Krishna is going to come for every single thing in your life and fix it. Practically, you should take care of what practical needs are there, material needs. But you don't overly worry about it so much. So the medicine you take, doctor give, man, that's it. Your duty for that child is done, and then you focus again on what else is needed. The child once can connect with Krishna, the child will become very favorable to Krishna consciousness.
Just like Kardamani. Yes, I will get married and immediately goes into meditation on Krishna.
Yes. Yeah, exactly like Radhamama. Even though he had some desire, but that's not the main focus in his life. Yeah. So same thing. Parents, sometimes child needs to be taken care. So yeah, take care of the child's needs. But in the mind, after that's done, focus is back on Krishna. Yeah.
What happens is usually we say, oh, now my child needs soccer, my child needs this, that, and then the whole thing will get sunk into that.
Yeah, that's a problem that you have to figure out how to get out. So it's a whirlpool. So if you get too close to the whirlpool, you get such thing. If you're an expert, you just stay on the edge. Right? Or don't come too close to the whirlpool. Do the needful, basically. Yeah. But don't overly. If your child needs something, arrange for it like that. They need to do some sports. It's like a big deal here. Sportsmen must be like that. When we grew up, sportsmen, you just go out and kick the ball up, run around. Isn't it? Here you have to go to special school, it's all money making. Just kept it.
Most of the time the parents are pushing them.
Parents also.
Parents are pushing the children to go to school first.
Yeah. It's always the case. You will see yourself in your child. Yeah. You live your desires through your child. I wanted to be a big soccer guy, so yes, my son will be a soccer star. Judo, black belt. What belt do you have?
I don't want to.
Really? What happened?
I did not even start.
Oh, you didn't even start. So you started only Bhagavatam.
It's soccer, right? You play soccer.
Oh, you play soccer. So then they want to live through their children, they want to be doctors, engineers, senators, all this thing. Yeah, that's how they live through that.
Self and extended self.
Yeah, it's all the same thing. It's all the ego. So therefore, if you see it like that, definitely if something cuts through your desire that you cannot enjoy through your child, that's a misery for you. Because you feel you deserve it. You feel I raised the child and deserve to experience that happiness. So if the child is not happy, then that misery gets superimposed to you. So then you feel miserable also. But if you are not thinking like that, but rather raising the child to become independent in society and become able to fend for the child itself, right? And to be Krishna conscious, then I've given him Krishna. Of course, if they cry and call you, you feel some compassion and so on. but you don't get too much into it. You know, parents will get too much into it.
Because parents are very close to the middle of the whirlpool.
Well, they are inside the child. They are the Paramatma of the child.
But to write this code down.
They feel like that. But actually, that's not the goal. Is not because you want to be inside and enjoying with the child. You can't. It doesn't work. What is the goal of the human life?
They like to do virtual life and serve the Lord.
Yeah. So if
Always remember Krishna.
you if you believe that's what it is, then why are you feeling the other way then? So main thing is, have I raised my child in Krishna's consciousness, in Krishna consciousness? Therefore, miseries won't affect you in that way. Even if you feel some hurt, sickness, you understand, yeah, this is due to my past karma, like that. It could be worse. It always could be worse. Now let me continue doing it.
So 8th canto,
Hmm?
8th canto, 13th chapter,
8 Canto, 13 chapter.
the description of
Okay, Manu.
current Manu.
Okay, so he did a search. Yeah. And,
He is the son of Vivishwan.
okay, so he's
And all
continuing.
the demigods and all the Saptarishis,
Yeah.
who is the current in all the descriptions.
Yeah, so, yeah, it is in the son of Vaivasvata Manu.
Vivishwan.
Vivaswan
His name is
is
Shraddadeva.
the wife, na?
His name is Shraddadeva.
Shraddadeva.
Current Manu's name,
Yeah.
Vaivashvata Manu. His name is Shraddadeva.
What's his wife's name?
Wife name is not mentioned.
Must
Maybe
be
that.
Vaivasvata Manu is actually son of Vivaswan. Okay, thank you.
So the present Manu, who is named Shraddadeva, is the son of Vivashwan, the predominant deity on the planet. Shraddadeva is the son of Manu. Now please hear from me as I describe his sons.
Okay. Manu is the post, not Vaivasva. Vaivasva is just a title of that person or his name. When let's say they make you an emperor, then they'll change your name also, some other name, right? It's like that. Yeah. So like that. So when he takes the post, he gets a new name.
So his original name is Shraddadeva, but he gets the name of
According to the lineage, he's Shraddadeva. So when he took the position, then he became Vaivasvata. It depends on the situation also sometimes, right? Krishna's name also sometimes, according to what he's doing, function, right? When he's riding the chariot, he becomes Parthasarathi, like that. So even other personalities get it. Yeah, they all have the names already indicated. Yeah.
Swayambhu Manu.
Yeah.
So,
For one day, it's all there in the Bhagavatam. Yeah.
A couple of questions regarding the previous discussion, which was previous. When we face material problems, so there is the obviously the tendency that we try, well, it could be family things or it could be anything.
Yeah.
So we, as devotees, we want to, it's advised and we understand that these are material problems, we have to transcend them. Also. So, but then there is this thing about I try to solve them as compared to I try to transcend them.
Well,
So how, so
Yeah.
sometimes there can be like a, because I might give up the attempt to try to solve it because I want to transcend it, but at this, there can be
Not
like
escape.
it should not be escapism. At the same time, I know I have to because it's material at the same time. So that aspect of depending on Krishna and also has, so sometimes there is a, what is the right thing to do?
yeah.
It's
I
like
mean, I know what you're saying.
It's a challenge.
It's not that we mentioned a little bit earlier. It's not like you don't do your duty.
Yeah.
So one has to do the duty. So let's say you have some problem, you try to fix that problem, which you should. So you attempt to fix.
Yeah.
But as you're attempting to fix it, it may become, you find that it's really a huge thing.
Yeah.
So how much can you put your focus on that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, sometimes when you put too much effort on it, it just becomes more and more
Right.
too much for you.
Yeah.
Right? You
Yeah.
can't even handle it, and then you,
Yeah.
you lose your focus
Yes.
on your, like you said, I should be a servant of Krishna. Like that.
Yeah.
So the focus is gone totally.
Yeah.
Now you're struggling with that situation.
Yeah.
The point is, you must be able to realize at the certain time, I have put in so much effort.
Yeah.
This is not going the way I expect it to go.
Yes.
That's where the attachment is.
Yeah.
And so if you want it to go the way you want and it doesn't, then you become more and more
Yeah. Detached.
miserable
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
angry and so on. So at a certain point, Krishna conscious means I can't put more effort in this because it's still going to end up that way, the situation.
Yeah.
So at that moment, one has to accept the outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's when you transcend. Okay, I accept that.
Yeah.
I can't do anything
Yes.
more. Just like Yudhishthira Maharaj could not change the circumstance of the gambling match.
Yeah.
But this is Prabhu, so one thing is changing, like, the situation, working on making things okay, but the external environment, but another thing is the internal environment also. Like, sometimes the situation demands that I need to fix something for myself, like, inside of myself, so that I can transcend that situation.
Possible, if you are very mature enough, you can do that. Right? If you're not mature enough, you can't see that. Then you need someone to tell you. Yes and no, you may agree or you may not agree. Generally, people who can look in and then hold back their emotions and so on are at least a bit elevated. Right? It's one thing to read and say, yeah, I have to look inside and fix myself and do that. But when the situation blows
Yeah,
up,
then
you
you
don't
actually
even
do it.
want to look inside.
Yeah.
Right? So you need someone to also be there to guide you or who can guide you.
But then another fear I have is that if I myself am not able to look, then somebody else is also trying to make me look, and I will not look.
Yeah, that's my point. So you need someone who you respect, who can tell you have these problems. Yeah? It always boils down to some authority that you can depend on. Our whole culture is that we have an authority, spiritual authority, who can guide us, who is more. You can't have a peer. A peer may not be able to, a peer may be able to tell you, but may not be able to help you totally out. But someone whose authority can tell you, stop this foolishness. Then you can say, yeah, okay, I can listen to that. So it's kind of tricky also, as you said, because you sometimes will feel strongly that this is what you have to do, it's right. And if someone tells you don't do it, how? Unless you have respect for that person, and then you can withdraw from that situation. Otherwise, you can't. Right? Yeah. So we have to also have people like that in our association. Tendency for us to do is we always associate with people who are good to us, less than us, and that's it. But seldom we want someone who can tell us what to do. That level of surrender is not there. We should always ask a senior Vaishnava. Have someone who you can always guide you. And to guide, they must know you well.
That is the thing, because
But then we hide again, that we keep hiding.
Yeah, but if they are, let's say, that's why it's better to have an association here rather than transcontinental and so on. Because a lot of time your guru is traveling, how your guru know your situation. So within the local, some authority know you better. Then they can say, you can tell one thing your guru can call that person and say, nah, she's faking or he's faking it.
Yeah.
Then the guru can say, okay, I'll talk to them like that. Yeah. So you need that kind of, locally you need someone who you can depend on, who can guide you. Not like you said, pick someone you like and they like you because you give them something or they give you something. So there's a mutual Vaishya exchange going on.
Yeah, even in terms of needs.
Yeah, so we do
You
that.
scratch my back, I scratch your
Yeah,
back,
yeah,
and
yeah.
both are
Happy.
happily going
Yeah.
together.
So We can't do that because spiritual life is not based on those things.
So, I don't know if I should bring this up, but between husband and wife, if husband tries to give some advice to wife, like how does that work? Should we try to do that because they may have a different?
There's nothing wrong in giving advice, but the point is, are you in an authority to give the advice? Okay, so if you're saying husband and wife relationship, does the wife respect the husband? Does the husband respect the wife? Yeah, right. So that relationship must first be established first, and then when each one gives advice, the other can understand and accept. But if there's no real common ground, who's going to listen to who? Right?
So then it applies to the friends also, I suppose. Suppose we have close friend.
Yeah.
And,
Close friend, okay, the way I see it, close friend means a friend can tell you.
Yeah.
Can tell you off also. And you're willing to listen to that.
but then that is not Vaishnava Aparad.
No.
Suppose if I have to tell somebody, like I get confused there.
No, Vaishnava Aparad is when you are envious of that person.
And you're
Generally,
saying
I
it from
feel,
that place.
yes, you're speaking from that level. You don't like to see them better off than you are and you find faults. Finding faults is wrong. But you see a fault and to explain this is not, for example, you do something to some, let's say you do to Gaurachand or something, and then,
She scolds me all the time.
okay, that's good. So then, then Divyadarshi tells you, you should not talk to him like that. It's not because you will hurt him. Isn't it? So she is worried about
Both of us.
both of you. She's not thinking because you are, that she's envious of you because you can control. Yes.
Okay, then it's not Vaishnava Aparad.
No, it's not. So, but then it's the way you say it also is important. You can say, you can't talk to him like that. Who are you? That's mood is wrong. So you have to say in a nice way, can I say something that I feel that you're not doing correctly?
And Prabhu, I don't scold him all the time.
Why are you saying that? I said it's an example.
No, because he's saying that.
That's okay.
Getting
He's
those
joking.
nightmares, I think. That's
Regarding this premise,
You are
this
what?
topic,
Yeah,
I heard if you wanted to communicate something to somebody,
yeah.
it's 5 aspects you need to consider.
It's actually 4. Actually. Oh, time, place, the Paramatma, that's in Bhagavad Gita we did that, yeah.
No, actually, this he was telling first you need to verify your judgment whether whatever you're seeing is correct. So usually that needs to be validated with other brahmanas. You need to consult with other brahmanas. I'm seeing this person doing this. Do you think my
No, actually, in the Vaishnava etiquette, it says there's 4 ways. 4 ways. I don't know where you got the 5th one. First is, you have to see whether you're the authority or not. If you're not the authority, then you approach an authority. Then you have to talk about that person to that individual. And then, if you are equal, you can say it, but it depends on how close you are. And the 4th one is no. Based on,
What is the intent? Is it something to do with the
I
intent?
can't remember. So go on. What you were saying? Yeah,
I heard in this one lecture,
Okay.
overcoming fault finding.
I have to check and see.
So he was telling these 5 aspects. First is you need to verify your judgment. Second is after verifying judgment, you need to understand your motivation. What is the motivation for you to correct? Is it really out of well-wishing or is it some other motivation is there? Third, what is your relationship to the person? Do you have the right relationship to give? Fourth, are you an expert in giving this kind of feedback? In the subject matter, are you an expert? Do you know enough about it? And fifth is time, place, and circumstance.
5th is?
Time, place, and circumstance.
Okay, let me see. I'm looking at the Vaishnava etiquette book. Correcting others. To correct a devotee, one must be 3 things. Oh, 4 maybe. Non-envious, desirous to practically assist the devotee in his Krishna conscious or her Krishna conscious. And as I said, the other one is in a position spiritually or managerially which justifies and or necessitates such intervention, or you are personally requested by the devotee to help him or her in the difficulty. So these are the four things. And the way to correct is three ways. Correct by a personal example and association. Guide the devotee to the shelter of a more advanced devotee. We don't have that, right? Mostly we think we are the most advanced. C. A junior devotee should not personally attempt to correct another devotee. He should reveal his heart to a senior devotee whom he feels at ease with and seek his assistance or advice to adjust the situation. And then how it's done also, since you all asked this, I'll tell you. Harsh words and actions have no place in correcting a sincere devotee. He wants to destroy the ignorance in the heart of a devotee, not the devotee himself. If there is some sincere and honest criticism offered, we should be grateful, not upset. To react negatively to well-intentioned correction is to manifest false ego. If you are advanced devotee, you will see each and every correction offered as the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yeah, that's it.
In the later part, it's more important how you receive somebody who's trying to correct you. Right?
Even if you feel
Your
someone
behavior
is
is
out of place, even if you feel someone is out of place, but you shouldn't react to that thing also.
Then you have to think, why is that bothering me? I mean, if it's coming out of compassion, it's a different thing. But
Yeah.
if it's irritating me, bothering me, annoying me, then the problem is somewhere with me also.
Yeah, you can think like that. But sometimes a junior devotee shouldn't go and correct a senior devotee also. The problem is we don't know actually who's a senior devotee. Yeah, sometimes we base it on the number of years.
No, we know Prabhu who is a senior devotee.
Uh-huh.
We know who is a senior
Yeah, we think like that.
No, I am myself.
Yeah, that's right. You think you are the senior devotee. That's right. That's where the problem starts. Yeah. Okay.
So, Prabhu, how to understand who is a senior devotee
How to understand who's a senior devotee?
or recognize or assess?
You can see the qualities of a devotee, no?
So it's
Based
not
on
by the number of years
Not by the number of years.
or when somebody was initiated.
No, that comes later. First, you see their Krishna consciousness. Yeah. Then you see the initiation date. Then you see who is second initiated and who is first initiated. Then,
Conscious is the first.
yeah. That's very important. So you can see a person's mood, their service attitude, all these constitutes the advancement.
The devotional service or devotional life could be life after life.
Yeah.
So, and we do not know the past of anybody, including
But you can
ourselves.
see in the present situation,
So the conscious is a good measure
Yes.
of
advancement.
how how deep they are.
Yeah.
But the initiation could be just incidental, that in
Yes.
this life they are taking it later.
Yes, possible. That's true. That's why sometimes you see a young devotee may know more than you. Could be much more humble also. So you have to accept this person is actually advanced. Yeah. Anyway, so this is important. This thing about when to get involved into miseries and when to back up from that the level of your consciously getting involved in that thing too much, and so to some extent you do, and after that you have to say, no, this is, I've done it. The more I do, the more it doesn't get to where I want it. So that means Krishna is telling me something. That's intelligence. Okay, I have to withdraw. Then you seek advice of senior Vaishnava, explain what you have done and so far, what they feel you should do, continue pursue it or not. Then you withdraw, and then just do the needful after that. right? Just like if your son is very good at playing soccer and he can score goals, so you want him to be center forward. But then the coach thinks he's not a center forward. He's maybe a midfielder like that. So you go and fight with the coach to put my son there, and then they say no. Then you go above the coach, and then you see the club organizers, and then you give them prasadam and tell them, my son should be playing like that. Still doesn't work. Then you have to understand it's not meant to be.
There are other kids better than my son, so they beat in the first place at center forward.
Like that. So you have to accept the situation. Yeah. Text 33.
Sabaryah sapraja kaman
Sabaryah sapraja kaman
Sangiyamana satkirtihi
Sangiyamana satkirtihi
Shastribhe suragayakaihi
Shastribhe suragayakaihi
Pratyubesha Pratyusheshvanubhaddena
Pratyusheshvanubhaddena
Hridashanvandhare kataha
Hridashanvandhare kataha.
Emperor Swayambhuva Manu enjoyed life with his wife and subjects and fulfilled his desires without being disturbed by unwanted principles contrary to the process of religion. Celestial musicians and their wives sang in chorus about the pure reputation of the emperor, and early in the morning, every day, he used to listen to the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with a loving heart. Again, it shows what Swayambhuva Manu was doing, almost how he was following his daily household life. Even though there were many disturbing things, he wasn't going to let it disturb him unnecessarily. In the purport, Prabhupada says, the second paragraph, it is understood that Emperor Swayambhuva Manu enjoyed his household life by following these principles. It is stated here, principles means religious principles. It is stated here that early in the morning there were musicians who used to sing with musical instruments about the glories of the Lord. And the emperor with his family personally used to hear about the pastimes of the Supreme Person. So generally in those days they don't have an alarm clock. The musical group will come outside the emperor's door and they will sing nice songs like the morning raga, not rock, metal rock like that. So they sing and then the king will arouse from his slumber. And then after that morning service, they will listen to pastimes of the Supreme Lord, particularly Swayambhuva Manu. Prabhupada says this custom is still prevalent in India in some places, in some of the royal families and temples. Some professional musicians sing with Sahanais, and the sleeping members of the house gradually get up from their beds in a pleasing atmosphere. During bedtime also the singers sing songs in relationship with the pastimes of the Lord. So even when they are going to bed, they are listening to pastimes of the Lord with Shahnai, right?
Shehnai.
Shahnai. You play that? You play that?
No. That's what they in all the marriages.
Okay.
That's the standard.
That's what we have seen. They play in other places also.
Yeah, in marriages they play at least.
They play
But
to
here they
prepare a
obviously
lot
playing in
also.
other places.
Yeah. So Prabhupada says the householders gradually fall asleep remembering the glories of the Lord. So you can play softly Srila Prabhupada's singing in the background in the house, you can sleep. Or his lectures like that, if you can tolerate that and sleep. But generally we can put Prabhupada singing pastime in the background in a very low volume, and then you can go to sleep with that. And wake up with the song still there. It'll be good for you. In every house, in addition to the singing program, there's an arrangement for Bhagavatam lectures in the evening. Family members sit down, hold Hare Krishna Kirtan, hear narrations from Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, and enjoy music before going to bed. So this is in those days. The atmosphere created by the Sankirtan movement lives in their hearts, and while sleeping they also dream of the singing and glorification of the Lord. In such a way, perfection of Krishna consciousness can be attained. So do you listen before you sleep? No, right? What do you listen to? Football?
No,
Nothing?
I listen to a lecture
What lecture?
every time with Swami Maharaj.
Bhakti Rasamrita.
Oh, okay. Every day? Okay. What was the last one you heard?
It was about a devotee congregation. And
Devotee
brahmachari-
called?
No, how celibacy is important in
Important.
brahmachari life.
Okay. Wow. No, that's good. I'm glad you're listening to that. Yeah. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada also tries to implement this system in our ISKCON also. Right? Morning programs, Mangalarti, then after Mangalarti we have Bhagavatam class, and then do some service, evening program, Kirtan, Lord Aarti, everything, and then some class and go to sleep. That's it. So that's the system in temple and situation. You can implement some of it in the in your own family, and not necessarily only listen to how to be celibate and things. You can listen to Krishna's pastime. You can listen to Amala Bhakta's, Krishna's book and all those things. Yeah. So those are acceptable. Okay, text 34.
निष्णातं योगमायासु
निष्णातं योगमायासु
मुनिं स्वयंभुवं
मुनिं स्वयंभुवं मनुं
यत् अभ्राम्यशीतुं भोग
Thus, Swayambhuva Manu was a saintly king. Although absorbed in material happiness, he was not dragged to the lowest grade of life, for he always enjoyed his material happiness in a Krishna-conscious atmosphere. Basically, he was satisfied with what he had that was given to him by the Lord. In the purport, Prabhupada writes, the kingly happiness of material enjoyment generally drags one to the lowest grade of life. So in modern society, everyone wants to live like a king, actually. That's what it is. It's competing, opulence, all. They want to compete with the kings of those days, or even with the Lord himself. Namely, degradation to animal life, the material thing. Because of what? Unrestricted sense enjoyment. So that's what you find nowadays. People go out, try to enjoy, eat all kinds of garbage, and then don't sleep until 2, 3, 4 in the morning. And then they feel that the day is too short. But Swayambhuva Manu was considered as good as a saintly sage because the atmosphere created in his kingdom and home was completely Krishna conscious. So it doesn't matter he was a Kshatriya because of his Krishna consciousness. He's on equal status as a saintly person. So it doesn't matter what our condition is now. If we are Krishna conscious, it is as good as a advanced devotee. You may not know everything in the Shastra, everything, but if you are following nicely, doing everything favorably for Krishna, your consciousness is actually at a high level. Yeah. Right? Just like when we say the Jiva is Satchidananda, what does it mean?
Like Krishna.
like Krishna, but is he Krishna? What is the difference? Krishna is also Satchidananda.
Ananda is serving the Lord.
Huh?
Stands his position as servant of God.
One is servant, one person is servant, the other person is the master. But what is why both are Satchidananda? What's the difference?
Ananda for
It's
the
completely
Movement is small. Quantity is there.
Quantity.
no
So-
the devotee Ananda is in serving the Lord.
servant.
Serving in the Lord, the Ananda. But is the Ananda equal?
No.
This is not equal, right? So then that is Ananda. What about Sat and Chit? Huh?
In terms of sub feature, we are some. But Chit
Chit?
is also infinite.
Yeah, so our knowledge is still, even though we are perfect, Sat Chit Ananda, the Chit is still, what is the Chit we have? What knowledge we have?
What is
The real
one
knowledge
more
is
side
I'm
is-
servant of Krishna.
That's all.
That's all.
The knowledge is how to serve Krishna. Therefore, if you misuse that knowledge, you come here. That's the only thing. A lot of times we think, why we are pure, we should know everything. You don't know everything.
Yes.
Krishna knows everything.
No
Even though you are such, yeah, you know your position as servant, that's about it. But you can think, why I have to serve? That's independence.
That's pretty amazing.
Hmm?
Yeah, that's pretty amazing because we get got into jnana
Yeah,
this thing. But actually the real jnana is how to serve.
yes, exactly. Yeah. Main thing is how
So
to
we
serve.
missed the point.
Hmm?
We missed the point very time.
Actually, yesterday I was thinking about the same.
Oh.
The chit part of it. You answered it.
Yeah, so in any situation you find we are nowhere.
It's like the wives of the Brahmanas
And the Brahmins himself. Yeah. So one understood, one didn't understand. So now you all understand our position, why we do this stupid thing. I try to explain different ways. Your parents tell you not to do and you still do it. Even though you know your parents will beat you. You sneak out to do it, right? You had full knowledge, it's going to be punished. So that's one way. The other thing is we don't have the knowledge when you are there about suffering here until you come here. Yeah. So continuing,
So Prabhu, even in case for Ananda also, ours is Anu is his Vibhu, but even our Anu is for us is completely
yes.
satisfying. So in one sense it's not
No, our Ananda can increase as much as the Lord increases it. So if you serve Him, we get more pleasure than He feels that He is experiencing.
right, exactly. So
Yeah.
that way it can be
So that is inconceivable.
Yeah.
The Lord can arrange that. But in terms of knowledge, we only have enough
Yeah.
to serve Him. We are supposed to serve Him, and that's our knowledge. But if we go against that, then we drop here and then we think why we dropped. So Prabhupada writes, the case is similar with the conditioned souls in general. They have come into this material life for sense gratification. But if they are able to create a Krishna conscious atmosphere as depicted here or as prescribed in revealed scriptures by temple worship and household deity worship, then in spite of their material enjoyment, they can make advancement in pure Krishna consciousness without a doubt. That's a long sentence. So you understand now you have to actually put it into practice. Yeah, you know why you're suffering. There's no what arguing about, I didn't want to come, but Krishna forced me like that. We made the decision.
That stage is past.
Huh?
That stage we
Yeah,
we
that's
passed
gone
already.
already. No more talking about it. Let's now do the right thing, right? So, how are you going to make sure you will become more and more Krishna conscious? You saw how Swayambhu Manu is doing it. How would you do?
Follow the sadhana bhakti, sincerely practicing sadhana bhakti.
Yeah, that's a general statement. But what are you going to do now? What other things? Have you thought about it? Have you really, looked in your life and said, I didn't like these aspects of my life. I'm not really focusing here. But actually, 90% of the time, I'm not Krishna conscious. Have you thought like that?
I think chant. For me, it was taking serious guidance.
Serious guidance. So, what are you going to do about that? How are you going to get your serious guidance? Where? You know, who? How do you know that's going to be effective? Think about all these things.
It's when I want to make the change.
Yeah, exactly. So what are the things you're going to set in motion that will give you some result in 1 year from now that you know I've achieved this? It's like some devotees, they memorize the whole Bhagavad Gita, right? So they have set some goals. That way they read every day the same thing, more, a little bit more, again, and again. By a year, they know the whole Bhagavad Gita. Like that. Yeah. So what are you doing about your own Krishna consciousness? I'm not talking about memorizing verses and shlokas. That you can do, you can't do. That's not the idea. It's what you think you need to do so that you know exactly, I have done and accomplished my Krishna conscious goals. Yeah. It's no point going to your guru and say, Guru Maharaj. Right? We all do that. We all do that. Right? And then you expect the guru to then suddenly give you boom, some shakti, and then go back to Godhead. It's not going to be like that. It's not going to be like that. You know. I think that's a fantasy we build in our imagination.
Indranand Maharaj once the devotees celebrated Vyas Puja over here.
Yeah.
And in that lecture, he said that the spiritual masters, happy to receive the gifts of love that the disciples give. But the best gift that the spiritual master really please the spiritual master is the amount of advancement the disciple has shown from the last Vyas Puja to this Vyas Puja.
That's one thing. Yeah. Actually, your Guru Maharaj will be most happy if you actually go back to Godhead. No, it's true. Prabhupada says like that.
Guru doesn't have to come back again.
Oh, Guru doesn't mean that person.
Yeah, Guru means Guru.
Yeah, it's Krishna sometimes. Like Gopakumar. His Guru was Krishna himself. Alright, anyway, I want you all to think about this and do something about this. At the present moment, modern civilization is too much attached to the material way of life or sense gratification. Therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement can give the people in general the best opportunity to utilize their human life in the midst of material enjoyment. Now, you're going to have a lot of people questioning you what is wrong with enjoying. You know? So you have to also explain to people why you really cannot enjoy. Because you're going to talk to people who are based their entire existence on senses.
At least we need to help them to regulate.
Huh?
Because at least we need to help them
Yeah.
to regulate.
So you're going to face people like that, who only know sense enjoyment. How is it that you're going to make them understand why this is the right thing to do? Why at least they should consider. So when you give a message, it's not like you go there and cut them down like, I'm better than you. No, we are not better than them like that. That's not the approach. It's like we've got something better for you to consider, or we've got another alternative. Why don't you consider that? So you have to open their eyes to see that actually you're suffering. Just like you said yesterday how you showed people the suffering in these few countries, and then they could realize, yes, actually things are bad. Otherwise, everyone thinks they're enjoying. I'm okay, yeah.
Once, when I just came to the temple, I asked this question to Haridas Prabhu in the Sunday school. Because I used to hear busy, and then I felt like I don't feel the busy. So I told Haridas Prabhu that I asked him, Prabhu, I'm very inspired about this Krishna conscious, thing. I'm going to take it up. But I don't feel the misery in my life.
Yeah.
And he told me in Sunday class, he told me that the lecture he told me that if you are intelligent, you will not wait for it to happen to you.
That's a very good point.
You will learn from what you're seeing around you.
Yeah. Yeah, if you open your eyes, you see this miserable place. Another way I can tell you is, if let's say from very young, when you were born, and the way they made the chairs, let's say a man made chairs, in the middle they put a nail sticking out. I think I've mentioned it. So from a very young age, you sit on the chair with the nail sticking out a little bit. So it hurts, but everyone's sitting.
Yeah.
So you also will sit and get used to the pain. So one day someone takes the screw out and you say it feels good.
Wow.
That's our situation. So in material life, everyone is feeling that
Yeah.
pain there, but since you are feeling, I'm feeling. So I'm okay, you're okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
There's a book.
It's a book. It's in the 60s. It's a philosophy. I'm okay, you're okay. Don't bother me. I won't bother you. So this is material life. Everybody is having that thing sticking in the back. But they're all like, oh yeah, I'm alright. I'm a big guy. I'm a big boss. I'm a CEO with a knife in my back, and I'm a laborer and a knife in the back also.
Everybody went through the birth by already. We just forgot.
Exactly. So it's a great opportunity in Krishna consciousness for us to actually help people to understand, hey, there's levels of enjoyment. So you have to break it down intelligently to them, right? You say, yeah, you're enjoying, but let's break it down and see what is your level of enjoyment, what's the next guy's level of enjoyment. And why is it that if you are satisfied, why this guy is multi-millionaire cannot be as satisfied as you are?
Yeah.
Right? So many ways you can make them think about it at least.
Yeah, whatever you're striving for, money, this and everything,
Yeah.
people who have already got it, they're miserable.
Yeah.
So everybody sort of gets that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also each person has their own
Level of
tolerance for enjoyment.
yeah.
Like they may think this much is okay, but what they are doing, no, you should not do so much. There needs to be some regulation.
It is true, the levels are there, but then they were also at that level at one time. Why it changed?
No, I'm saying we can explain to them like that.
Hmm.
You also feel that there is a limit to what you want to do. So that, you believe in these limits.
Hmm.
You see a purpose in them. So that's exactly what is being told over here.
Yeah.
And then there are different levels.
Prabhupada says, Krishna consciousness does not stop them in their propensity for material enjoyment. So we are not there to stop them from doing that, but simply regulates their habits in the life of sense enjoyment. Now they may also question, why should I regulate? Again, you have to show them the consequences of unregulated life. That means you dig up some nice stories. Around the world, so many things are happening.
Everything is about.
And then you show them, You don't even have to speak a lot. There's a few slideshows, YouTube like that shows 10 minutes and then you talk 5 minutes, another 10 minutes, talk another, finish. They understood it. That they are suffering.
Yeah, I think sometime in this was saying that how by following the rules, even in regular material life, he's the happy person who does.
Yes.
And one who doesn't follow the rules, he's so-called freedom. He's actually miserable. You can show them.
Yeah, you have to show them that.
And to achieve something in material life, you follow some rules.
Yes.
So even if you want to advance in spiritual life, you still got to
That is for those who want to
take
take up spiritual life. But if you want to make a person who's not really into all these things, to make them understand why too much enjoyment is also a bad thing. Right? You can't enjoy everything too much also. You can't drink forever. They like to drink, so why you can't drink forever? There's a marginal utility for consumption also. There's a breaking point somewhere. Right? So that is also in the same way. So your satisfaction also up to a certain point. Right? If you are running for a whole hour from downtown to your home, and then nowhere and nobody help you, then when you come home, then you're so thirsty, the first glass is so wonderful. Right? So that glass of water that you drank is so wonderful. Nothing in the world can compare to that. That is the levels of enjoyment. Now, if you give the person 2 glasses, he'll say, yes, I enjoyed so much second glass. Then he'll say, I'm more happy. By the 3rd, 4th, 5th glass, the levels of enjoyment is gone. Why? Why should it disappear? So material life is like that. There are, as you said, levels.
No,
So-
even economics, that's the law, it's from economics.
Law of
only, that's how they
diminishing
divide
returns.
every-
That's why they used to make money. Huh?
law of
Yeah, diminishing returns.
marginal return.
So you use that because they are all thinking of making money, so you tell them it's diminishing. Why should it diminish? The same enjoyment will diminish. And therefore, types of enjoyment, material enjoyment, there's also levels of different types of materially there's this enjoyment, then spiritually there's infinite enjoyment. So what do you want? Now you bring the question. What do you want? You want infinite enjoyment or you want a limited enjoyment?
They don't have that experience, so how do we convince them?
Well, when you have to bring them slowly, right? When you come finally to this comparison, they would want limited enjoyment. Who would say they don't want unlimited enjoyment? Yeah. So you have to give them like that.
So yesterday I was having a conversation with a friend. He was saying, so your happiness I can define as just psychological level, saying, you're good, you're doing meditation, all of this, but that might be just giving the happiness that you're talking about. But like he's not getting convinced that I need to consider God for my happiness beyond of what I'm seeing. So how do we he wants to see that experience.
Yeah, so unless you take the bottle of honey and taste the honey, how you know it is sweet? Right? He can't just intellectually understand. It's not possible to understand some things intellectually. We don't show that. First, you need to show the person that there is suffering in what he is doing also. And then you can say you have also experienced that. Right? So what are the different levels of Ananda we have learned? Yeah, Annamaya platform, there's one level of bliss. Then Pranamaya, you see that you are alive, everyone is alive, so there's a happiness there. And then mind, then Jnanamaya, you understand actually you're not the body.
That's Vigyan,
No, then it goes to Anandamaya. Well, you can split into 4 or 5, like that.
So, Prabhu, one more question I have is this, like, related to what Rastipur Prabhu was asking. Sometimes some people say, they say, oh, I'm so happy you found what you like, and that's what's taking you. I'm
Well,
still in my search.
I think when they say that, that means your approach is already wrong. Because you're already challenging them. That's why they are answering like that.
To become defensive.
Yes. So therefore, yeah, they're already putting the.
So sometimes they just ask, what do you do? And then, so maybe how I'm sharing.
Yes, the way you share is very aggressive.
Okay.
So you need to say it in a way that they also want to know what is this that you're so happy with. Not like, oh God, I don't want to know about this, You may sound self-righteous. So you come across incorrectly. So that's why you can't say you are correct. Because most people don't want to know that.
Yeah, they don't want to take it as like only you are correct.
Yes. Because even though you are correct, you are not correct to them.
It's a gift to go with that.
Yeah. So you need to bridge that to show them that this is something you found wonderful and they want to share in it.
So what is that pro? Like suppose like the way I share is like I say I do it because I like to do this, it's something. So then that's the answer.
Maybe it's the way you present it. You have to analyze. You could write it down. Maybe sometimes it's good to write all down and then you can change the way you.
And also the mood.
The mood also.
Okay.
Yeah, you can say, I used to do these things. You can say. You can always. You don't even have to be so truthful. You can make a bit of a story about how you were sense gratifier, and then what are the consequences you went through, and then you can say, then I found something that I'm kind of happy with now, and then don't say anymore. Let them ask, what is that you are happy with?
Yeah.
So you
So-
like catch them.
So, don't.
So
Because
one-
what we devotees do is say, Krishna consciousness, I saw, here, boom, ha.
So one person, he attended device maybe first 2 or 3 sessions. He liked it somewhat, but he didn't like this whole misery concept. And 2 years later, he comes back and he acknowledges that he liked that
Yeah.
misery chapter.
Yeah.
So it took him 2 years
Yeah.
to just go to the first session. Mentally, he was going through it while he was not attending the other classes.
Well,
And now he became a little ready to go to the second class.
Yes.
What happens in our course is boom, 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 8 sessions we
No,
deliver it all.
I don't think it's the causes that's the problem. It's how you present it to your students.
No, but
Each-
they may not be
No,
ready
no,
for
no.
the second,
Listen,
third, fourth
listen.
session.
No, no, no.
It's too much.
No. It's how you present it, and I agree also that occasionally you will get people who cannot accept anything at all. Yeah, I do agree with that. But in general, it's the tutor or the person who speaks. He
Yeah.
must be sensitive to the audience feeling also. I mean, then they're not interested in you telling them they are suffering.
Yeah.
They're interested in
not.
being a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't place yourself as I know everything. I am the savior. I am Superman here.
We had this conversation with Madhu Chandra. Maybe we should not even talk about the misery. Start with
It's
some other
no.
gentle introduction.
It's not there.
Right,
As I
right.
said, it's not there.
I mean,
It's
I
the
think,
way
yeah.
you say it.
I haven't really felt that. Yeah.
So you can all sit together and say how to present that
Yeah.
misery portion in a way that it doesn't appear like a misery. Huh?
Sometimes what is to we have to make them thinking,
Yes.
because if they're not, then
Like-
they're
just
not
like-
depending on what they're doing.
Just like I'm not going into, like I was telling someone, I'm not going to cut into all this Bhagavatam and speak from the Acharya's point of view. How many of us are on that level? I can give you some things the Acharya say here, but even I find certain things very esoteric. So my goal here is to make you all think and apply the principles Prabhupada is trying to give us. And how you can entice or show people that, hey, actually we have a very good alternative here. You interested? That's the main thing. That's all we are doing.
Yeah.
So that's how you need to. Not that, it's no point if I come and then prepare so nicely the class and then all of you like, oh, so good class. But then what's the value?
Behind this message is there's a spirit,
Yes.
and then our goal is to
Yes.
take the spirit and communicate the spirit.
Yeah, so that's all I'm trying to do. Like, yeah, yes, man, let's do this for Prabhupada, for
Yeah.
Guru, like that. Let's do it. So that people benefit, that's our humility.
Yeah.
What else we have? We don't have anything else.
No, I like the way you were saying here's an alternative.
Yeah.
And so that's presented in a humble way actually. So it's an alternative. You want
Yeah, don't
it
force.
out,
We are
you
not here
can-
to force. Jivas
Try
cannot
it
be.
out, you
If
can-
Krishna can't force them, who are we?
always say, give Bhagavad Gita a chance.
Yes.
There's a chance.
Exactly.
Give it a chance.
Yeah.
So if you say, oh yes, Bhagavad Gita is, they're not, they may or may not, but are you ready to give Bhagavad Gita a chance?
Yeah.
Most people, yeah. definitely.
Because you only have a lot of Indians and their culture is there, but
Yeah,
so
so
it's
especially for
easy
Indian.
for you. But if you keep practicing like that, you cannot really. The wider audience won't be
Yeah,
attracted.
so if the Western, then it's a little different way of
Yeah,
saying that. But for Indians, giving it.
I remember.
All right, I want to just finish this and then we can continue. Then later on we can continue the discussion. In spite of their enjoying the material advantages, they can be liberated in this very life by practicing Krishna consciousness by the simple method of chanting the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So if they accept what you say, if they can accept what you have said, then you can say this is a very easy and sublime way to go back to Godhead, to get the pleasures that we seek. then they will try this. Text 35. Consequently, although his duration of life gradually came to an end, his long life, consisting of a Manvantara era, was not spent in vain, since he ever engaged in hearing, contemplating, writing down, and chanting the pastimes of the Lord. That's so amazing, right? What was he doing? He was engaged in hearing and contemplating. That means he's thinking about Krishna, what to do, how to apply it in his life. Yeah. Contemplate how to help others in Krishna consciousness. Writing down his realization. So these are things all of us can do. Oh, look at that. Is this Pranjan? Wow. You look so pretty. Shouldn't she look pretty?
Yeah.
Wow. Big smile.
Very nice. And she's got a nice tilak and gopi dots. Ooh. Who put the gopi dots for you? Your mom?
No.
You put yourself?
Yeah.
Wow. That's nice. Yeah, so we can do all these things. Hearing, listen to Prabhupada lectures, Guru lectures, think about what they say, how to apply in our lives, write down our realizations. Everyone should have a journal to write down what your realizations. And chanting the pastimes of the Lord. Then get a chance, talk about Krishna to your friends, to each other. Or even speak loudly to yourself. Oh, Krishna is so wonderful. You did this pastime. In this pastime, these are the things you went through. You can sit in front of deities and talk also. So all these are positive way. Huh? Good idea. No, that's how they do it. In the purport, Prabhupada says, as freshly prepared food is very tasteful, but if kept for 3 or 4 hours becomes stale and tasteless. So the existence of material enjoyment can endure as long as life is fresh. But at the fag end of life, that means you are dying, everything becomes tasteless. And everything appears to be vain and painful. That means very difficult and painful. The life of Emperor Swayambhuva Manu, however, was not tasteless. As he grew older, his life remained as fresh as in the beginning because of his continued Krishna consciousness. So it's ever fresh when you are Krishna conscious. Just like you're chanting every day, it's not like it's boring. Just that you may not have the desire to chant more runs, but you never feel that you are losing the taste. The only time you do that is when you're offensive. Then you feel like losing the taste. But you have some taste, that's why you are still chanting. Some taste. But you need to open it up and then get the full taste. So that's our thing also. We have to focus on all these activities Srila Prabhupada has given us so that we will have a meaningful life in Krishna consciousness as we get older.
So, Prabhu, why does it, if one gets offensive, they lose the taste? How does it work?
The holy name will withdraw itself. Yeah, Nam Prabhu will get offended. Because everyone is dear to Krishna. So when you're offensive to another person, then you are at fault, So the Lord feels, he holds back his potency or your ruchi. For the mercy, yes. He holds back his mercy. And then that's where the problem starts. So yeah, so Manu's life is like 72, it's about 71.5 or something. Almost 72 times 4.32 million years. That's how long he lives. So if we have such a long life, will we be doing what Manu was doing? I mean, that's for a long time he was doing that. That's a long time.
Prabhu, when it says like in the previous verse in this,
What?
that he enjoyed life with his wife
Yes.
and fulfilled his desires without being disturbed by unwanted principles contrary to
Yes.
purpose. And then here it says, although absorbed in material happiness. So what is that material happiness?
Whatever they had.
Like the things that are needed to
Yes.
keep body and soul
Yes.
together.
Whatever he needed to have, house, a palace, like
For
that.
his service.
His services. Yeah. He enjoyed that. Meaning he didn't like, oh, this is so good, I got a palace. Not like that. It's like, well, I'm happy living here. Yeah, I'm satisfied with this place. Not like most. Let's say let's say Nitya Gauranga have this house, then suddenly he's promoted as a vice CEO of IBM. I mean not Microsoft, right? Then they give him $50 million just like that. So then he's thinking, I have to buy a big house. Then there's something wrong.
That's a true story.
That's a true story. Then that's something wrong. He should be very happy that Krishna is giving him all this. I'm already happy with this house. I don't need anything more. I'm enjoying my material life as Krishna has already ordained. Whatever extra I get, I'll put it in my Buddha temple and let it be built. Right? It's like that. Yeah. That is how you see your material thing. Use it for whatever basic needs you need. Not extravaganza. We don't want that. Yeah. So he has a TV now, and then he got big money, means the whole wall becomes a TV. That's wrong. That's not the goal. Yeah. Huh? No, most people go for bigger and bigger. So that's normal. That's big.
That's past life.
Oh. Alright, so text 36.
स एवं स्वान्तरं निन्ये
स एवं
स्वान्तरं निन्ये
युगानामेकसप्ततिं वासुदेव प्रसङ्गेन परिभूतगतित्रयः
He passed his time, which lasted 71 cycles of the 4 ages. 71 times 4,320,000 years. Always thinking of Vasudeva and always engaged in matters regarding Vasudeva. Thus he transcended the 3 destinations. In the Prabhupada writes, 3 destination means more of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So either you take birth in a higher planet, middle planet, or lower planet. So that's what it is. In the Prabhupada, towards the end of the first paragraph, Prabhupada says, Swayambhuva Manu, the ruler of this material world, appeared to be absorbed in material happiness. He was neither in the mode of goodness nor in the modes of passion or ignorance, but in the transcendental stage. So that's the difference. Huh? Since you asked, Prabhupada is answering. Once you are in transcendental stage, you are in the Brahma Bhuta platform. Okay. You know the Lord is in your heart, you know the Lord is in the hearts of every living entity, and you're always thinking how to help each other attain Krishna consciousness. So that is the way devotee who is enjoying his material appears to be enjoying his material. But inside he's always thinking of the welfare of all the different living entities. So Prabhupada writes in the end, towards the end of the second paragraph, liberation is not a very great achievement for a devotee, to say nothing of the results of ritualistic performances, the religion, economic development, or the materialistic life of sense gratification. Devotees do not care for this. They are always situated, always on the transcendental platform of the Brahma Bhuta stage of self-realization. So they are always at the level of seeing the Lord in everyone. Always engage in devotional service. And because they always engage in devotional service, the Lord in the heart makes them feel ever fresh. That's what the reciprocation is with the Lord. So all the activities look fresh and new to them. Like when they do arti, every day you do, but you feel so wonderful, happy. So ever fresh because of the Brahma Bhuta platform. So in that platform, one is never bewildered. And one is never in lamentation. Rather, you are jubilant. Huh? Yeah, now so Chitina comes in. Yes. So that's the stage of self-realization. You know a position with the Lord and you are very happy doing it. So these are key points for our own guidance to see where we are at. No, it's true. Like you go do dressing the deities, how you feel? You feel it's a burden or you feel it's a joy? Right? If it's a burden, then you have a long way to go. If it's a burden, then the Lord is a stone there. If it's a joy, then it's a person reciprocating with you. So that is something you know yourself. So, I mean, you don't have to share with people, but you know yourself where you are at. That's so, it's so important. Every time you feel reluctant to go and do your service, then you know you are not advanced. You are such a fallen rascal. It's true, you feel that. You should feel that way. I am a fallen person. And then you can pray to the Lord, I'm so fallen, please somehow or other take me back in this lifetime. Right? Question is, do we want to go back or not? So you help each other to go back this lifetime. Yeah.
I'm just thinking
Oh.
that we want to go back, but at the same time, when the time of execution comes, then that
We
going
don't
back
want
is
to go
forgotten. So that thought only doesn't come to me.
Yeah, that means we really don't want to go. It's always Krishna testing. Maya is testing us. She's working on behalf of the Lord to see whether we are qualified to go back. Until you're qualified, she won't let us go.
So every time opportunity for service is
Yes, yes.
there,
That
then
means,
you become
yeah.
more conscious.
Two things will happen. Your ego will be reduced if you are willing to do, and then you become purified. Right? But if you don't do that, then you are increasing your ego and you are becoming envious of Krishna. That's what it is, right? So you can always put a chart there, envious of Krishna or purified. So every time you don't want to do service, you put under the envious column, mark 1. Then you can see how much envious of Krishna you are at the end of the month. So they are like that. Text 37.
शारीरमानसादिव्या वैयासे ये च मानुषः भौतिकाश्च कथं क्लेश बाधन्ते हरिसंश्रयम्.
Therefore, O Vidura, how can persons completely under the shelter of Lord Krishna in devotional service be put into miseries pertaining to the Lord, pertaining to the body, the mind, nature, and other men and living creatures? Just like Kona Kurati Katharati, right? Remember? First canto. who will not listen to the glories of the Lord, right? Who will not be attracted to the Lord? After hearing so many nice things, who will not be? Therefore, how can persons completely under the shelter of Allah in devotional service be put into miseries also? How? Because they are getting so much happiness and enthusiasm. So no matter what external effect is, na sochati, na kanchati. They have transcended. They are not disturbed anymore. They may externally show anger and so on, but they are not at all disturbed on the physical level. They are on a transcendental level. It's like Prabhupada. His anger, all that was on a transcendental level. So it didn't matter how externally it appeared. Text 38.
Yaprushto muni vipraha dharma nana vidham subhan nirnam varnashramanam cha sarvabhuta hita sada.
In reply to questions asked by certain sages, he, Swayambhuva Manu, out of compassion for all living entities, taught the diverse sacred duties of men in general and the different varnas and ashramas. So he is also very, very qualified. As Manu, he is telling how people should be behaving and acting and performing religious activities according to their varnas and ashrams. Even sages come to ask him. So he is very, very advanced person. Text 39.
Etatta adirajasya manoshcharitam adbhutam varnitam varnaniyasya apatyodayam shruno.
I have spoken to you of the wonderful character of Swayambhuva Manu, the original king, whose reputation is worthy of description. Please hear as I speak of the flourishing of his daughter Devahuti. That's the end of Bhaktivedanta purports of the 3rd canto, 22nd chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Marriage of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. So we'll take like 10 minutes break and then we'll continue. Okay. You want to pause there or something? Madhav, attend the pause.
This is a beautiful section.
Yeah.
For the practical application.
No? Oh.
He's just sitting down listening now. Do it.
Very good.
Now, right? Tell you whatever.
So we just somehow said it.
Lock passwords.
Password.
Where is Prabhu?
You don't know.
Mata, do you know his password? Type. You don't tell me, you just type.
Yeah. Okay.
Should I call Prabhu?
Yeah, the next break is lunch.
Try. If it doesn't work, then I'll call Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Mataji, incorrect. Let me change.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Guruji, the national to remain. Where are you? Huh? Guruji, we need to unlock your computer. Yeah.
Can you open the window?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel warm.
Okay. No, Prabhu asked me to stop. I'll give it to Mataji. So you can tell the password to Mataji. No, she doesn't know. So I'll type it didn't work.
I'll just pause it. Yeah.
Once she started.
Well,
Yeah, we're just pausing it.
really?
You have to be an expert in
Stop the whole thing.
with all the 4 DOTs and you have to expect services on 31st.